Welcome to the Block Exploring podcast, your first step into the world of crypto and blockchain. The Block Exploring podcast is your one-stop place to find quick, clear, and unbiased information on everything in the crypto space. Our goal is to help you grow familiar with the crypto space by growing along with us as we go on our crypto journeys. Follow @Block Exploring on Twitter for our newest uploads and our publishing schedule. We, here at Block Exploring, are crypto enthusiasts working hard towards becoming experts. Today's podcast is presented by co-hosts Tommy and Elias. Find us on Twitter under @SabaiSquared and @OtokoCrypto. Right now you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Before we start the episode, we would like to inform you that we are not financial advisors. Therefore, nothing said in this podcast should be considered financial advice. Always contact your financial advisor before making any investment. With that said, sit back and enjoy today's podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 18 of News Bytes on the Block Exploring podcast. I'm here with Tommy. And this week we're going to talk to you about the latest news in the crypto space, especially on regulation and, of course, the incoming EIP 1559. And at the end, you'll have a special shout out for everyone who's tuning in from Three Pillars Gaming on Axie Infinity. So, Tanawat, let's jump into this thing.
Let's go.
Yeah, so the past few weeks, the market has been, I'd say, decently bullish. Ups and downs, of course, but overall, I've seen I think a 5% increase in market cap. It's really nice.
I feel like the community and the space, like the people, like the bullish sentiment's always like a bit more than like is reflected in the market, right? Yeah. And I think that seems to be the case where like if you're on Twitter and that, depending on like which, I guess, sub realm of the crypto blockchain space you conjugate in, like you're decently more bullish. Everyone I think overall is a bit more bullish with like incoming EIP like 1559, bullish on Bitcoin with the Paraguay news as well. Like loads of things have just caused for like great like momentum in the market, and that's like, widely like represented like in the community, but now it's actually reflecting itself on the charts as well when we see like last 24 hours, like last 1 week at least, like over the last week, these coins, tokens, altcoins, everything is a bit green,
Yeah,
pretty green.
That's true. And especially Ethereum, right? 3 weeks in a row, they've been have had a winning streak compared to
this is
Bitcoin.
like Ethereum month, TBH. Yeah. I mean, like everyone cares about EIP 159. It's not like it's been highly anticipated. Everyone is really interested to see how ETH burning influences everything about the ecosystem and that. But I think we'll discuss that more later. But it's the market is bullish for sure for many reasons.
Absolutely. I also wanted to highlight something I noticed. Like this past week, Bitcoin dropped, I think, like 3% in price over like the span of 24 hours.
Okay.
Something I noticed was instantly all of Twitter was bearish. It was a bit like everyone was gunning for 20K again. Like, I think it's important not to overstate the amount of, like, I don't think you can fully say we're back in the bull market. I think there's just been a steady increase in market cap. But if you see how fast like crypto Twitter went bearish after a drop of 3%, I think it's important to take into account that the market is still very sensitive to these kinds of drops. So it's important to take into account. It's not sure. If you look at like the fear and greed meters, if you believe in all that stuff, we're still at like almost at extreme fear. We're nowhere near like greed when it comes to Bitcoin. Important to take into account. But overall, I would say that the market is recovering. I think that's something that's definitely happening.
I think that's an interesting notion of whether we are back in a bull run or if we ever left. No, I feel like those things are like very different, obviously, but like the feeling of being in each is probably the same, and it's like probably how it feels now. No, which is why that's probably what adds the uncertainty as well. Like people are not quite sure what's going on, but they'll be happy or sad either way.
No, it's true. And there's also something called the bull trap, right? It's right after you hit the peak, it goes down, everyone thinks it's crashed out, and then the bullish sentiment returns, it peaks halfway, and then it crashes more. It's also always something to take into account that has happened about every single bull run that, crypto experience, especially Bitcoin.
For sure.
It's like the most, I feel like the most predictable kind of chart is always Bitcoin, because it just repeats historically, and or at least like for the past 3 bull runs it has.
Things could change. I would be very happy for things to change, if stock to flow model was proven wrong, or any number of reasons why it would change, whether like crypto now has super cycles and that, I'd be very interested overall to see how Bitcoin patterns change over time, because it's a bit, I guess that's what people like, right, about Bitcoin. There's some predictability to it, but I don't know, man. I think it has to change. It has to change, and it will change with increasing adoption. Like I think that's just how things will go. But we'll see. Maybe stock to flow model is very accurate. More accurate than others would like it to be. So
we'll see. I think something that could induce that change that you're outlining here is kind of the classification of Bitcoin as an asset, and like what rules govern it.
Exactly.
And, in recent news, we've seen that the CFTC, so that's the Commodities Trading Commission, American.
Yep.
The commissioner of that organization argues that the SEC, as a securities-based organization, has no authority to act over pure commodities, and that means that they associate crypto assets with items like, wheat, gold, and oil. So like really like outside of the realm of cryptocurrencies. And what I liked specifically is that the commissioner of the CFTC referred to crypto as crypto assets rather than a cryptocurrency, which is the term that the SEC has been using for years now to describe any crypto-based asset.
Yep.
And I think it would bring a lot of good nuance into the discussion and regulation of crypto. And I think it's a very valid argument that's being made, especially for Bitcoin right now. I think it's very accessible, but also for something like, like Ethereum. It's an asset, it's not a currency per se. And
some would argue differently, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's not as simple as the SEC outlines it, at least. And I think
that's what I want to say. Like, there's levels to what they're coining as crypto assets, and I think, there is such a thing as, there should be a classification for cryptocurrencies, I think, that is separate from crypto assets. Like, it's not all just one thing, right? Because I feel like the way that NFTs behave, the way that Bitcoin behaves, the way that Ethereum behaves, and a number of what about governance tokens, for example?
Yeah,
there you go. Like, just to encompass everything as a crypto asset and treat it as the same. This wholesale regulation might not be the smartest thing, in my opinion. But like, just because I think there needs to be nuanced, just because like the way these different assets are being used very wildly. So I think that should be reflected in the regulation, right? I don't think we should regulate Bitcoin the same way we regulate NFTs. They behave like quite differently, in my opinion. The way that the community and consumers engage with such asset is very different. So like, they should be regulated differently, because I think those assets have different ramifications for people in their lives.
Yeah.
As investment tools and vehicles. So they should be treated as such, just rather than just thrown into this crypto assets, label. Because maybe cryptocurrencies are regulated by SEC, you know. But maybe crypto assets such as NFTs or whatever other such crypto assets that can be, you know, created are the other one.
Yeah.
What is it? FCC? No,
F.
that's not it.
Well, it's a long short. It's a long shorthand, but it's the CFTC. So
CFTC,
yeah,
exactly. You know, then they cover crypto assets or whatever. It's
yeah.
but you know, it's this is why I really think there needs to be, obviously there's huge lobbying going on, I think, you know, in that we're not privy to, but like
Mm-hmm.
as a community, we should like DAOs and the larger community as a whole should do a lot of work in the way of advocacy to
Yeah,
make people to make regulators understand the difference between these different types of quote unquote crypto assets. I don't know. I
yeah.
don't even know if I like that term actually,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because well, yeah, I don't know if I like that term. I would prefer, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of confusion in the way of you know, okay, there's cryptocurrencies and there's blockchain technology
Mm-hmm.
and there's, you know, NFTs and all of these things are like cryptocurrencies are enabled by blockchain technology.
Yeah,
Blockchain technology enables these things like play to earn. It enables like it enable slide like, you know, supply chain track. It's a data management tool. It enables so many things. NFTs, you know,
mm-hmm.
like I think this instant connection between cryptocurrencies and blockchain and like the assets that can be created on blockchain, online goods,
Yeah,
blockchain goods, like this all needs to be separated, like, you know, in people's collective mind and like in by regulators, because it's like blockchain technology, you know, say people have an issue with cryptocurrencies, right? For
mm-hmm.
whatever reason, one cryptocurrency, like that should not then immediately make them dismissive of blockchain technology in general, because the
Yeah,
applications of blockchain technology are so vast
mm-hmm.
for us to be solely focused on cryptocurrencies as a whole, like as a space or as regulators,
Yeah,
like I don't know. I feel like I have like a lot of thoughts about that. I just feel like it should be separated, right? I feel like,
mm-hmm.
yeah, like people like began their journey with blockchain technology, with cryptocurrencies, with Bitcoin, and that's
Yeah,
why they're so closely related. But like I think
mm-hmm.
more and more they need to be, you know, separated, you know, because then we don't have this situation where, you know, because like there's so many instances where companies or whatever could really
Mm-hmm.
improve whatever is going on in their business, right? Like through the use of blockchain, it would make it much more efficient, trustless, so many things,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But maybe they're scared to even start going about that because there's all this scam fud about cryptocurrencies, which, you know, warranted or not, like exists, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
So that's why I don't like the idea of classing, you know, everything under this crypto assets
yeah.
like a label.
No,
Yeah.
I see your point there. For me, when I heard about this
Hmm.
and like the CFTC and their opinion, I was kind of brought back to this statement made by Tyler Winklevoss,
Okay.
actually, where he describes Ethereum as like a counterpart to Bitcoin and the
Hmm.
way it's being regulated. He says for many people, it's very easy to classify Bitcoin as, digital gold. Is very understandable because a cryptocurrency is like, oh, it's like an online transaction system.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And what he proposed was classifying Ethereum as a digital oil
Mm.
in that way.
Okay.
Whereas,
That's
because it
interesting.
has a fundamental difference with Bitcoin that it's just different in concept and
Yeah.
it's a utility token to
Exactly.
incentivize the network. So it's like it relates closer to something like oil than it does to gold. And this is something that needs to be classified differently from like the traditional way,
Yeah.
maybe you could I feel like it's a good parallel because inherently if you look at Ethereum you have gas fees.
Right.
The way it's used is very similar to oil but on a like
Hmm.
I don't know, like oil is like a transport cost.
Right.
Gwei is like the way they calculate
Mm-hmm.
the transfer costs and the processing fees,
Right.
validation fees. So like this kind of dynamic, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you look at these regulatory discussions, like who has a say on it, I think
Right.
indeed the SEC is overextending in this case. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe something like like I think their case against Ripple made sense because the amount of XRP that was being used to keep the operations of Ripple going
Mm-hmm.
would qualify it as a security,
Right.
just because the way it was being employed. But I think that there's this overextension that the SEC sees any digital or like crypto asset, for lack of a more refined term, as like you would classify Litecoin, or any or like Bitcoin Cash, like any just currency based kind of tool.
Right. Okay.
I think that's that it makes sense that the CFTC said, no, this is part of this is definitely not your this is definitely partly not your responsibility,
Right.
SEC. I think it makes sense, but I do think that certain items on the crypto, when it comes to crypto regulation and the way that some crypto companies behave themselves and like use their assets,
Yeah.
that the SEC should have a say in it. But I think that at the same time, you really have to make sure that this kind of overextension doesn't happen.
Checked as well.
Yeah, and also that the lack of clear regulation in the crypto space isn't held against the innovation that's stemming from the space right now. Because right now, you can do something wrong without knowing it when you start a crypto company.
For sure.
Yeah.
But people are just going for it.
Yeah. No, really.
I mean, I think, people also being careful at the same time. At least we are. Yeah. I know with our project that we're starting up together, Unspar, we're really wary about regulation and trying to stay in check and not get into. I mean, we don't need a lawsuit anytime soon.
No, exactly, and we're constantly looking into like the regulatory framework, where to incorporate all these kinds of key aspects that we need to tackle, and we need to take into account also on like a more like future oriented perspective, like how will X country deal with crypto in X amount of years, and it's really hard to say right now because there's no, like the major countries, like the G7. The big players in crypto, the G7, they're not regulating anything in a clear and like conclusive way.
Right.
And that's why I was so happy to hear there's 3 US senators that are proposing like just restructuring the way that crypto is regulated right now. And especially when it comes to exchanges, centralized exchanges in general. They called the requirements right now in the crypto industry in America unworkable, which I completely agree with because there's so much ambiguity. And it feels like you can do something with a completely just kind of intention and still be sued by the SEC because, well, unclear reasons. And that's constantly the argument that's also being made. Like, give me clear regulation and I'll tell you if I did something wrong or not.
Yeah.
And I think that the kind of regulation that's being proposed is also mainly focused on exchanges because they're easiest to grasp for the regulators at the moment because it's very similar to a traditional exchange.
Yeah.
And also it's like easy to merge into the legal framework of consumer protection. So it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And the bill that is being proposed is also being backed by Coinbase, Coin Center, like Square even. They're all saying that they're pro like this new step in regulation. The only thing is the regulation will most likely only start becoming more relevant in September because the US Senate goes in recess like somewhere in August, and then
as they do,
they reconvene in September, and it will take a hot second before this actually comes into play. But it's very bullish to see that the companies themselves.
Meanwhile, the crypto blockchain criminals are running rampant.
Yeah, but it's great to see that these companies are actually saying, like, regulate us.
Yeah, please.
And being proactive also, because
yeah, please.
if you look at the way that these companies kind of manage themselves, and like, was it Coinbase? Yeah, Coinbase, they did an IPO to avoid any like legal issues. It makes a lot of sense. And if you see like how Binance, for instance, is kind of being tossed around at the moment, and the way that it's being
bamboozled.
Bamboozled, yeah. And then like the way banks are counteracting it with like withdrawals. I think in the UK right now, there's also like a limit on how much money you can withdraw from Binance for your own safety as a consumer, blah, 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 blah.
Dude, in the UK, you can't withdraw from Binance straight up.
Well,
it's kind of weird. It's not great. It's kind of horrible, actually.
Yeah. No, it's pretty insane. I was actually looking out for any like regulatory proposal in the UK that would like help people who are who have assets laying around on Binance.
Yeah. You can send it to a decentralized exchange or any other exchange. You can still do that. You just can't take it into fiat, into your bank account, which is
that's
peak.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's following their own kind of like legal system and legal requirements. Nothing has changed. It was possible before, and all of a sudden, retroactively these things are becoming illegal.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make a lot of sense from a regulatory perspective.
It's that's also like you can't be charged with something being illegal after the fact,
Yeah. And also like the fact that it's like being marketed, or at least portrayed in the sense of like, this is consumer protection.
Yeah.
But what effectively happens is consumer assets are being frozen.
Yeah, literally. And oh man, everyone is working for consumer protection, bro. That's like the thing. It's there's this meme which is like, if you want anyone to get anyone on your side, you just say we're doing it for the children, or whatever. Abortion rights activists or anti-LGBTQ activists, they're always just like, yeah, this is for the children.
Yeah.
This is almost the same way in the financial world or regulatory world. They just be like, we're doing it for the consumers.
Yeah, for the consumers. No, it's a good parallel. I agree, because quite often these things aren't even that consumer friendly. Like, I'm sure that a lot of people in the UK want to cash out certain positions, but they're just unable to.
Yeah, it's a mess, bro. This is why, like, people don't love centralized exchanges, because they have that power, to do stuff to I don't know, stop you from getting your money. It is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
it's something to live with, but with increased regulation and compliance with regulation, you'd hope that it's fine. It gets better. Things will get better.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we're still bullish on that, eh?
Yeah, definitely, and especially with EIP 1559 around the corner.
Yep. What? Literally hours around the corner, blocks around the corner.
Blocks around the corner.
Yeah, I feel like people are waiting till the block, the block it happens for it to turn up on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll know when it happens, and it's I think it's bullish. Like it's clearly bullish for ETH price so far. We'll see if this just leads up to a big run up where flippening happens, or people sell the mainnet. People.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, mainnet's already out possible. There, but we'll see. I mean, of course, it's possible. Like people are gonna take profits, but it just depends how much it dips from here, right?
Yeah,
I suppose.
But also in the history of Ethereum, I think it's been very common to buy the testnet, sell the mainnet.
But long term bullish, like the burning of ETH, each transaction, like that's just bullish. That's a madness.
That's
it's gonna be
very significant for Ethereum. Yeah.
Yeah. So happy EIP 115 day. Ethereans are out there. There's a lot of them. Shout outs to you guys. Another Ethereum related or Ronin related item. Ronin is the parachain that's that Axie works with, but then it's like validated on blockchain. But we want to shout out 3 Pillars Gaming, which is an esports blockchain gaming team and community. We have a Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. We have everything at the moment. I stream for 3 Pillars Gaming here and there, so we have a great community. If any of you guys are looking for Axie Infinity community, blockchain gaming community, come join us at 3 Pillars Gaming. We have awesome community. We have our scholarship program as well, and we have a goal to onboard as many scholars as possible. We also have an Axie Lend program, which is truly innovative program in the Axie community space. So if you have Axies that are just laying around, you don't want to play the game, you don't want to grind, you don't want to manage a scholarship program, you can, give us your Axies, we'll secure them for you, and we'll offer scholarships and you can take a cut. That's our Axie Lend program. But, we're more than just that scholarship program and Lend program. We're a community. We have loads of people who are there 24/7 talking, making community even stronger, taking initiative. And we're just the esports team doing it different. So check us out, 3 Pillars Gaming.
Absolutely. I tapped into the Discord like today. It was insane.
New member.
You're getting close to 300 members. It's
at the moment, and we only started the Discord like 3 days ago. So closing in on 300 members is huge. Axie community, Axie Infinity community is huge, like so active, so hyper. And but sometimes it gets a bit clogged up in some other Discords and things. So like it's really nice to have like a community that's free from spam, who's really taking initiative to grow this project and like do something different with it, and they really get the mission. So if you guys want to be a part of such a community, that's really supportive, who's like always there for you, 3 Pillars Gaming, that's where it's at.
And also if you're on this episode from the 3 Pillars Gaming Discord, definitely shout out to Tommy. Shout out to you guys.
3PG family, for real. Never turn your back on family, Vin Diesel. Dude, whenever we talk about fam in the Discord, we always the Vin Diesel gifts come out like instantly. Never turn your back on family. But no, that's a cool group. Hope you guys are interested.
Well, with all that being said, I think that wraps up this week's episode of News Byte on the Block Exploring podcast. Follow Tommy on Twitter @Sabai2. Follow me on Twitter @PotoccoCrypto. And follow the podcast @Block Exploring. And with all that said, we'll see you in next week's episode of the Block Exploring podcast.
Take it easy.
See you.